This podcast will talk you through a model answer to the question, why was the Treaty of Versailles so unpopular in Germany? This was taken from the June 2010 paper. It's worth 12 marks. The usual word of warning when you're given bullet points, as you are with this. It is really important that you don't just restrict your answer to those bullet points, that you need to move beyond them. So treat those with great care. Any question that's worth 12 marks will have to be paragraphed. 1.5 minutes per mark is 18 marks. So is 18 minutes. So this podcast will take you through a plan for that particular question. First of all, though, it's worthwhile just reminding you, or just having a look at the map of Europe for any territorial changes, which are a key part of the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. A key thing to focus on, I'll just highlight here, is that area of land there. As you can see, Germany was physically split into two countries by a wedge called the Polish Corridor. For the newly created country of Poland drove that wedge. So Germany in green, as you can see, there is East Prussia and the main part of Germany. Physically, Germany has been split into two countries by the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. This is a very useful map, is a very, very detailed map. First of all, the territorial changes. Territory that was lost, physically taken away from Germany, is in black. So you can see very clearly here, I'll just highlight it for you, that's the Polish corridor, and so Germany was physically separated into two. There's the main part and there's the separated part of Germany in green. The other main territorial loss was Alsace-Lorraine down there, that was given to France. And then some smaller territorial losses. Eupen and Malmedy were taken from Germany and given to Belgium, and Schleswig, or Northern Schleswig, was taken from Germany and given to Denmark. And also down here, Silesia, Upper Silesia, was taken from Germany, and that also was given to Poland. Reminder, this dark green area there, that's the Rhineland. The Rhineland was not taken from Germany. Germany kept it, but it was a demilitarised zone. She wasn't allowed to keep any soldiers in the Rhineland, and for a period of time there was a French occupying force in the Rhineland, so don't get confused on that particular detail. This is a very similar map, but it has got more information in. If you get a question, describe the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, which this one that we're looking at in this podcast is not, but if you were to get a describe the terms, a very traditional approach would be one paragraph on the territorial changes that we've just talked about, and then another paragraph on the reparations, which are highlighted there, and then another paragraph on disarmament, which is highlighted there, and then another paragraph on other terms, in particular Article 231, known as the war guilt. That would be the best way to approach a question if the question was describe the terms of the Treaty of Versailles. However, the question which you are looking at here is a different one. It is, why was the Treaty of Versailles so unpopular? So this particular, what I've done here is I've written three answers for you. The first answer there, level 1, is a very, very, what we call a simple response. Okay, I don't need to spend time on that. Many candidates will write a level 2 answer. At first glance, it's a good answer. You'll see lots of detail in there. You've got the 100,000, you've got 6,600 million in reparations, you've got really precise details about territorial changes, you've got Article 231, but that answer would probably plateau at a grade C. Why? Because it is a descriptive answer. It doesn't focus on the question, because the question is about why was it unpopular. All it does is it says this is what happened, this is what the Treaty of Versailles did to Germany. It doesn't really analyse why it was unpopular. So we need to look therefore at the model answer, which is level 3, 9 to 12 marks. So I've highlighted the sort of key phrases in bold, as you can see. The introduction very clearly says it was unpopular for 4 reasons. Immediately you've got the examiner on your side thinking this is well focused. And then you can see firstly, secondly, thirdly, another reason. So you can sort of see where those 4 reasons coming through in the paragraphing. Just quickly to take you through what the reasons were. Start with the key reason. The main reason the Treaty of Versailles was unpopular was because Article 231, the Germans saw it as a dictated peace. They believed that was unfair. There had not been a proper investigation as to what caused the war. It was just simply assumed that Germany caused it. And Germany said, no, we're being judged because we lost the war. That does not mean we caused it. Okay, so that was, I think, the first point you want to make. Secondly, it was unpopular because of military terms. Now, don't just describe the military terms, but state why those military terms were unpopular. The key point is there towards the end. Unpopular because it exposed Germany to a French attack. The French had an army that was 7 times bigger than Germany. Germany said, well, the French need to reduce her army as well, but the French refused to, and that's what made that particular term so unpopular with the Germans. Thirdly, the territorial changes. Again, don't just describe, but make a judgment. In particular, it was the loss of land to Poland in the east. That was the most unpopular term, because it physically split Germany into 2, and also because many German-speaking people were now living inside Germany. The loss of Alsace-Lorraine to the French did not really upset the Germans so much because it was actually originally French territory. The next reason, it was unpopular because when the war ended 7 months before the Treaty of Versailles, the Germans had been led to believe by the American President Woodrow Wilson in his document, the 14 Points, that the treaty, when it was eventually written, would be a fair treaty that would be applied equally to all the countries that fought in the war. That never happened. 7 months later, when the Treaty of Versailles was drawn up, it was simply given to Germany as a dictated peace. And the Germans felt it was unreasonably harsh. They felt that the original promise had been broken. Of course, one of the reasons for that was the British and the French were also involved, and they disagreed with Woodrow Wilson, who wanted to have a much fairer peace. And then your final paragraph is the conclusion. So finish the opening sentence or the opening word, to conclude, or overall, therefore, reach a judgment. Now, with this type of question, the best point to make is the one clause that was the one term that was the most unpopular more than anything else was Article 231. Because that was used to justify all the other terms. Without Article 231, none of the other terms could have been made. So this was the glue that held together the treaty, and that was the one clause, therefore, that made the Germans more angry than any other. So just to finish the podcast off, there's the mark scheme. I don't need to say any more on that. You can see the 3 levels: simple, descriptive, analytical. You want to be writing an analytical response. And the examiner's report, this is not a whole answer that they're given, they just pick an extract, but they put an extract in to demonstrate here is a candidate doing the right thing. They're not just describing a term, but they're also explaining the unpopularity of the Treaty of Versailles, as they do at the bottom. That's the end of this podcast. Thank you.